Hey everybody, how's it going? Christian from Treasure Town here, and today I'm really excited. This package arrived on my doorstep from World Class Coins. Gary sent this one over. He's on the phone with us today, and we're just going to be going over them. There's really, like his name, these are some world class coins inside. So I'm going to take these out, stack them up, and then we're going to go one by one and get his perspective on each of them. But like I said, there's some really special coins, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from Gary about them. And we've got the coins in front of us, so maybe say hi to the camera, Gary, and we'll start with whichever stack you think is the best.
Hi, people. How are you? I'm great. Thanks for asking. You didn't ask, but thank you.
So I'm thinking we go left to right here. I mean, there's some pretty unbelievable coins, and we tried to put some good ones on top. But I'm thinking we start with this stack. There's mostly Roosevelt dimes, then we'll kind of make our way right, kind of hitting a bunch of crazy coins along the way. So I don't know if you have any insight on this coin outside of that. I mean, it's immediately just a gorgeous coin. I don't know where you got this, or if you made this coin, or any comments you have, just kind of to open it up.
I bought it as a PCGS 66 Plus. It just has really outstanding color for a Franklin. A lot of Franklins that you see with color are typically 58Ps or 58Ds. The coin toned in a double mint set, that's where it got the color. It's just really clean, it's really flashy, it's got really nice color, it's really bright. It has all the bells and whistles of the coin, of what it should look like. So it's really nice Franklin.
Gotcha. And how do you, I mean, obviously from seeing a lot of coins, but how could somebody who doesn't know, 58 is the date to look for where these coins tone beautifully? Like, is that just an experience thing, or is there a good way to kind of learn that?
I guess it's an experience thing. If you don't really know Franklins, then you wouldn't know that kind of thing. It's 58Ps and 58Ds specifically are just very common coins in high grade, and the reason for that is they all toned in the double mint sets.
Gotcha. And just for those who are kind of starting here, could you explain a little bit about the star grade Mint State 67 star as opposed to a regular Mint State 67, or why it wouldn't have been a 68 or 67 plus?
The star designation is only done by NGC. It's not done by PCGS. The star designation signifies eye appeal. So if a grader finds a coin to be eye appealing, then they will star the coin.
Sounds good. And I would assume that most of the value is less from the star and more from people just picking up that it does have eye appeal. They're going to pay a premium for that as opposed to any grader's opinion on that. Or maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I think a grader's opinion really matters. People do pay a premium for the star. With a coin like this, it's kind of irrelevant, though, because obviously it has real nice colors, so the star doesn't matter so much. Sometimes a grader would star a coin because it's semi-PL, semi-proof-like, like on a Morgan dollar. If one side is just not proof-like and one side is like deep mirror proof-like, then the grader might star a coin like that. So I think stars are worth a premium. On a coin like this, it doesn't matter so much.
Gotcha. I mean, maybe we'll move to the next coin, but that would, I think that there's just one of the great things I'm just thinking as we're filming is how much information you're kind of telling to the viewers. This one is a Mint State 68 star Roosevelt, and also just pops out as being worthy of this star, to put it lightly.
So this coin, immediately when you look at it, it's really, really flashy. The luster on the coin is really incredible. When you cartwheel the coin, it's very, very flashy. And I think that's why it got the star. I don't think it got the star for the color. I mean, the color is a huge plus on the reverse. It's very bright and it's really pretty. But I think it got the star for the color. The coin's clean, it's a solid 68. I'd go as far to say it's a higher end 68. It's a nice coin.
Definitely.
47. What did you say?
Definitely. No, I'm just agreeing. I mean, it's a lot better than the Roosevelts. There's a clear delineation kind of at the top end with, the types of coins that I'd probably come across more frequently, and then upper end stuff like this.
The date 47S comes a lot nicer amongst Roosevelt dimes in the series, but for a 47S, they don't typically come this flashy. So this one's really special for that reason.
Gotcha. I'm planning on moving on to this next one here, the 51S in 68, and I mean it has kind of a fiery toning that's really appealing. I don't know if you have any other comments on the coin.
It stands out because it's really clean. If you put a loop to the coin or you inspect it closer, it's just really clean. It doesn't really have any distracting marks on the surface on either side. And coins with that kind of look, where they're kind of fiery red color around the edges and they're like blast creamy white blue in the center of the coin, coins like that are very pretty, and the grading services like that kind of look on the coins.
Makes sense. Is often with the grading, as we move on to the next one, is there a lot of kind of net grading or a bump up because of toning? Kind of how does the toning impact the grades?
I think the most important aspect when you grade a coin is eye appeal. So if the coin has eye appeal and the toning is pretty, then the grade is going to get bumped. If the toning is like really ugly, it's probably going to get net graded downwards. But if the toning is just kind of average, I don't think it really affects the grade.
Makes sense. Now, as we look at this coin, to me, this one is standing out as having really nice toning on the back of the coin. Is that something where people generally pay a higher premium for coins with nicer toning on the front versus the back, or does it not really matter?
The majority of coin collectors will pay more color for a coin that has color on the front, because nobody really wants to flip their coin over to the back, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I like coins with color on the back because they're not nearly as expensive as when a coin has color on the front. And I personally like the design of the back more than a lot of coins on the front. So I think it's really just personal preference.
Makes sense. I'm trying to think. I think we have next up this Buffalo, which I was, kind of struck by just how it's totally blast white. It almost doesn't look nickel, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on this coin or how you...
It's so flashy that the coin looks proof-like, and it's also very clean. I submitted that coin. I thought the coin was gonna grade 67 plus. They only gave it a 7. It's got really outstanding eye appeal. It's really clean. It's really flashy. So I think it has everything going for it.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think something like this would run? I'm just kind of curious on the pricing.
In 7, they're worth about $250.
Gotcha. This seems definitely, though, to exceed kind of the average 7, though I don't see too many of them. The next one is kind of a very interesting... It's like a flashy brown toning on this Roosevelt dime, 1951S, mint state 68. What would determine how the coin colors once it's toned?
What's your question?
Kind of how do you arrive at rainbow toning versus a more brown toning, and what's the process there?
The longer the coin is in the environment it originated from, the darker the color will get as part of the natural toning process. So if where the coin was taken out of, probably a double mint set. If it was left there for another 100 years, it would have just been 100% black. Mm-hmm. This one, it's kind of like brown and kind of blotchy on the front, but it's really clean, and that's why it's a 68. I feel like if the color was more even, or there was a prettier color, or maybe just a brighter color, not just brown, it would have been an 8 plus for sure. Mm-hmm. Just because it's really clean. And the back is really nice on that coin. I like the back a lot on that.
Yeah. It's always, the crescent toning is interesting. To be honest, crescent toning is probably not my favorite, but I really like that kind of transition from brown toning into oranges and yellows next to it into the blast white.
Yeah, that's a pretty coin.
I guess next, I'm thinking we just go through this stack, which I think there's going to be a little bit more variation in the types of coins, probably a few more Roosevelt dimes, but maybe we can start. I know you mentioned that this is a coin to look out for, and what kind of draws you to this one?
This Washington quarter is struck in a matte formation. It's just not the way that Washington quarters were typically struck. And the other thing that draws me to it is it's really, really clean. If you put a loop to the coin, you will not find a single hit on the coin. It's literally flawless in terms of surfaces.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, I think that, often you see much more shiny coins. Is the matte-like appearance, is that just kind of a fluke? It just happens, but not very frequently, and this one happened to be really well preserved? Or
I really don't know how it happened. Washington quarters don't come that way.
Mhm.
But I guess someone just got lucky.
Gotcha. Next up, this one is, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. Just the toning is probably the nicest, in this bunch, in my opinion, in terms of just from a strict what I would like in a coin. You have the purples, the greens. Do you have any comments on this coin in specific?
It's really neon. It's kind of ugly on the back, which is kind of like a catch-22. The front is beautiful, but the back is kind of ugly and brown and splotchy.
Mm-hmm.
For 47p, it's got the best color I've personally seen for the date mint mark combo. It's just a nice color coin for the date.
Gotcha.
It's really flashy, which is a plus.
Yeah, how often do you see coins that, I would just think that this is almost like an upper echelon coin in terms of the toning. How often does something like this, why is this not in a questionable color holder?
The toning's 100% natural. That's a double mint set coin.
And for those, I'm pretty sure, I'm not even 100% sure, the double mint sets, these are like the Waite Raymond folders that would come with,
No, the double mint sets were sold by the United States Mint from 1947 to 1958. They skipped them in 1950, though. They contain two of each denomination from each mint: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. So you got 2 pennies, 2 nickels, 2 dimes, 2 quarters, and 2 half dollars. The Waite Raymond holders are later product holders that just came out. I think a company called Mehrig produced them. But this one came from a double mint set that was sold by the U.S. Mint.
Gotcha. Well, awesome. I guess the next one, I think that this is, we've got 2 here, and we'll talk a little bit about the designation. But this first one is a Mint State 68 1957D, really high grade. I personally, I kind of like the toning on the previous coin a little bit more, but there is something special about this coin in terms of the reverse toning, I would say.
To be completely honest, there really isn't anything super special about the coin. It's just one of those coins where there's nothing special about it, but it's really clean. It has decent eye appeal, so you give it the high grade anyway, because it's clean. There's nothing that really knocks it down. There's really nothing that brings it up. It's just kind of nice for what it is. So.
Makes sense. And then we get to this one, which the big thing that pops out is the FT, the full torch, Mint State 68 star, really, really pretty toning, I think. Can you go a little bit into detail about what the full torch designation is going to be?
So NGC calls it full torch and PCGS calls it full bands. There's 2 bands that need to be fully split and complete. The top band and the bottom band that are horizontal. So they have to have a full line of separation in between the bands in order to be fully split. The bottom band is more important because the bottom band is what comes weakly struck more often. The top band is almost always complete. But the bands need to be free of marks or hits. So if the bottom band is fully split, but the top band has a hit in it, it's not going to grade full bands.
Makes sense. And I assume that, any sort of weakness would pretty much immediately take away the full torch designation.
Yeah, only on the horizontal ones. The vertical lines don't matter.
Makes sense. And is this full torch designation, is that something people who collect Roosevelt dimes are really going after, or does it not matter? In my mind, a full Bell Lines Franklin is going to be, that's something that matters a little more than like a full head Standing Liberty quarter or maybe a full torch Roosevelt. I could be totally wrong.
Collectors pay more money for full band Roosevelt dimes, but it's all a personal preference. Coins without a designation are generally cheaper, and coins with a designation are generally more expensive. It really just depends on the way you want to collect them.
And is the full torch totally kind of, is there any subjectivity in terms of some coins should get a full torch designation and they just struggle to?
Are you asking if it's hard to get?
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes will it take a few submissions to get, or you'll submit a coin a few times and the full torch changes.
It shouldn't. If it's there, it's there. Can I ask you? Can you pull out the 51S Franklin again and hold the dime with the Franklin? Both of those coins are from the same exact double mint set, so they're like twins together.
That is gorgeous. You can definitely see the very similar patterning.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to think. Is the quarter is I think that was a 51S. Is that's not the same?
Those were the two best coins from the board.
Gotcha. And
the quarters were kind of ugly.
Did they have similar toning, or was it just
Yeah,
kind of a?
They had similar kind of green color, but it was really broken up and splotchy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit of a different shift here to some coins that I haven't really seen this design before, but it's a gorgeous Mint State 66 older Mexican coin, and a lot of the older Mexican coins can be pretty expensive, kind of beyond, I feel like, the average prices people are paying for world coins as opposed to US. But what made you send this coin in this batch?
It just has 10 out of 10 eye appeal on the uppers. It's blast white and it's super, super flashy. It like if you held it 100 feet away from you and you had good eye vision, you would be able to see it. It's just that flashy, and it's really pretty.
Yeah, no, you don't get to see a coin like this. I think it's the nicest Mexican coin I've seen in person, but for sure.
Yeah.
Where did you pick this coin up?
I bought this coin from my friend Joe Lawson. He needed some help financially, so I bought it from him. I'm really happy I bought it from him.
It's a nice find. Now, one question I have: world coins, are they generally? I've heard that they generally don't end up in holders quite as much. Is that true? Is that a trend that might go away, or what's kind of the deal with holdering world coins?
I don't know if it will go away, but a lot of foreign collectors that live abroad, live out of the United States, they just like to have their coins raw, just to hold their coins. And I have nothing against that. I prefer to have a coin raw and just to hold it for what it is. But with more expensive coins, it's hard to take a $10,000 coin out of a holder, for example, just to hold it. It kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. So it really depends on the person. I don't know if it'll get more popular to slab world coins. But with the special thing with world coins is, and like this is a Mint State 66. It's from 1885, and and this is a dime. So like let's take a seated dime, for example, from 1885, Mint State 66. That's probably like a $1,500, $2,000 coin, and this Mexican coin is like a $200 or $300 coin. So it's much more affordable to buy these world coins as opposed to the U.S. coins.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was just talking about that with somebody earlier, how you can, especially like the crown size stuff, if you want to buy nice looking trade or seated dollars, compare that to like the French 5 francs or something, there's just a massive difference in terms of the value or the, how cool of a collection you can put together for the same amount of money.
Oftentimes with world coins are way more cool.
Yeah, yeah. This is another world coin that you sent me. I mean, it's unbelievably flashy and clean, but it's a Swiss 1 franc Mint State 67 plus. Any detail on this one?
I think that is either the most common date or one of the most common dates for a Swiss franc, so it's not a rare coin at all. But it is the single finest franc from that date. It's just really flashy and really clean, and it has a lot of eye appeal. I mean, when you cartwheel the coin, you can see how flashy it is. I like the coin. It has a lot of eye appeal going for it, and I like the design personally of it.
No, it is a really classic design. It's all over the Swiss coinage, and it's pretty much been unchanged, I feel like, for like 130 years. But it's a good design to stick with, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for sending. I think those were the two world ones in here. Then we're going to get to this probably last Roosevelt dime. It's kind of got a blue coloring, 1957 Mid-State 68.
Yeah, that's another coin that toned from a double mint set. A lot of times, a big characteristic of coins that come from double mint sets is the haze that it has on the front and even the back. Over the layer of toning on the coin, it has a film of haze, which oftentimes is ugly, but that's just the way they come, so you kind of have to accept it for what it is. The coins, again, one of those kinds of coins where there's nothing super special about it, but it's very clean, and it has decent eye appeal. It doesn't have great eye appeal, but it doesn't have bad eye appeal, so you grade the coin for what it is.
Sounds good. Next, I mean, this is the coin that I'm just kind of blown away by. I'm going to zoom out a little bit on my camera. But, I mean, talk about this coin. 1793 wreath cent. It's so clearly off-center, and I mean, I didn't even really realize that there were any wreath cents this off-center. I hardly ever see a wreath cent to begin with, and then something like this. I mean, this is unbelievable.
1793 wreath cents are my favorite type of U.S. coins. I just really like the design on the back. It's like the first American cent that was released for circulation. The chain cent came out before the large cent, but the design was changed because the citizens of America felt like the chain kind of restricted America, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So they changed it to the wreath cent. And interestingly about the wreath cent is the majority of wreath cents were actually entered into circulation in 1794, which is a year after they were struck. So there's only 3 off-center wreath cents that I know about, and this is the finest known. This one came from the Niece-Winter collection. Jim Niece-Winter was a really popular collector of early American copper large cents. It's just a really rare coin, a really cool coin. It's something that's just really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, do you mind sharing where you got this coin from and what it's kind of worth?
Yeah, I bought it in an eBay auction, and that's another thing that's cool about the coin is that it's not really expensive for what it is. I paid $3,500 for it. It's probably like a $4,500 coin, maybe as much as $5,000. You would think a coin like this is more expensive. A normal VF details large wreath set without the off center sells for like $3,000. So I think I got a really good deal. I just got lucky, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you'd think that a error when there's, it's different when it's a more modern error, but something, I mean, the error on the 1793 and it being the finest known, that I feel like that just makes it such a special coin. Anything else on this coin before we move over to the next coin, which looks like a proof V-nickel?
That's pretty much it.
Cool. Let's check this one out. This one, proof 67 plus. I mean, there can't be too many proof 67 pluses out there. This one looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that's just a really clean coin with proofs. It's a little more complicated to grade a proof because proof coins don't come with the same kind of bag marks or hits that a mint state coin would contain, and that mainly has to do with the way they were struck. So really, the biggest component of what would knock down the grade in a proof coin are hairlines, which are naturally produced on the coin from the dies, while a mint state coin, a hairline comes from cleaning, which is very interesting. This coin specifically has really pretty kind of like bullseye toning on the obverse, I think, and it's the single finest with none finer, so it's a top pop for the date, which is pretty cool. It really doesn't have much wrong with it. It's just a pretty coin for the type.
Yeah, no, who was collecting proof? Were they kind of made to order? Somebody would ask for proofs and they would be struck, or how were the proofs made back then? I don't know if you know.
started making proofs, I want to say in the 1820s, I think, and they made proof sets, one of each denomination, and they sold them to coin collectors. I think it started off because the mint was looking for funding, and they would make in the beginning, they would make 20 or 30 proof sets, and they'd sell them to collectors. In the what date is that?
This is in 1884.
In 1884, they made 3,942 proof B-nickels. So I guess 3,900 people bought proof sets.
Wow. No, that's it's so cool to have some of these lower mintage coins. So definitely thank you for including. And then the last coin just looks like a CAC super clean looking Morgan, Mint State 66 1881S. I know that 1884S, 1885S was very tough to get in good condition out of San Francisco Mint. I don't know if this has a similar story or if it's just a really good looking coin. It's got the green bean. Any comments?
80S, 81S, and 82S are arguably the three most common dates of Morgan dollars. They all come they were mass produced. They all come really flashy, clean, lustrous. They're very nice. There's a few graded Mint State 69. That's just a nice coin. It's really clean. That's pretty much all I can tell you about it.
Definitely. I guess before we close up, is there anything in general that you have to say about these coins, or any specific story we might not have heard about one of them? I feel like anybody who's listened along will have really a lot better perspective on the coinage from somebody who knows a lot about them. And yeah, I just want to make sure that we don't miss anything for now. I'm sure you'll be involved more on the channel, but yeah.
I think that's really it. I think we actually talked about every single thing about every coin.
Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to having you back in the future. Thanks so much for being on. And really excited that this was able to be made possible. Go check Gary out on the socials, which will be in the description.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to subscribe to Treasure Town, as well as like and comment. Check out my other platforms like my website, treasuretownYT.com. Also some information if you're interested in supporting the channel. Then I also have an Instagram at TreasureTownYT, Twitter at TreasureTownYT, and Facebook Treasure Town. So maybe I'll see you on some of those other platforms, and have a great day.